now, so this is when Max isn't on the show right now, so this is when I'm allowed to, do all my annoying verbal cues. So, do you have any? I keep saying verbal cues, like vocal. What's the? There's a word for it, just vocal practices, but
Training your voice a little
yeah,
bit.
vocal exercises. There we go. Yes. So, do you have any that you've ever outside of Anchorman ever heard?
None that I've ever used to really get me in the zone, but I know you have a couple that have worked well for you in the past. So I can let you do your thing.
Okay, so yeah, I'm always unique New York, unique New York. The Human Torch acquired a blank loan today. How now, brown cow? The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And the one that always escapes me is the
It's a tough one.
the purple panted pickle pairing unicyclist put on a pair of his purple pants or something like that. It gets me every time. But anyways, I'm trying to get my phone. I don't have a long enough cable here. There, that might work. This might. Yep, that'll get it the job done. Okay, perfect. I'm trying to get it so I can see the Twitch chat. I can see everything else. It's charging. I was gonna die, but anyways, welcome back, shooters, for a terrific Team Handball Tuesday edition of Shooting Straight Handball Podcast with JD and Max. Well, just JD for now. Max will join us shortly, but I'm joined this evening by Ned Harwood. I always want to put a D there. It's just
Everyone wants to put
Harwood.
the D
It's
in there,
hard.
yeah.
It's
D is
hard.
silent.
The silent D. Excellent. So Ned, how are we doing this evening?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on, JD. Excited to be here.
Good. Yeah, it was one of those things that when we're looking for guests, it's always who's available and who's easiest to fit into the schedule, and yeah, at 10 o'clock at
Glad I
night,
moved for you.
it's
Yeah.
you make it pretty easy for us. So that's what we like to see. I know. I mean, there's some guests that we've been going back and forth for weeks trying to find time, and it's like, all right, at this point, I can't do it. I've talked to some of my coworkers that have run podcasts at work, and they're like, I had to get out of the game because it was just finding guests was too much of a pain. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess we got something good going. So it's one of those, we've had a lot of guests that are available for us, and that they've been great guests. So you're going down a great line of excellent guests. So
Can't say Tuesday at 10 o'clock is usually my most busy hour. So you
I
got me at a
you
good
know
time.
what? It's funny you bring that up because that's kind of been my sales point for a lot of our Ohio State handball players not coming to practice for many years. They're like, "Oh, JD, can't make it to our 10 to midnight practice on Tuesdays or Wednesdays," and I'm like, "Well, if it was Thursday or Friday, maybe you're going out to
Yeah,
the
that's a
bar. I'll
different
give
story.
you. I'm not giving you any kind of leeway there, but it's better excuse than just going to bed. I mean, I don't know, it drives me nuts. Oh, I got an exam at noon tomorrow. Okay, well, go to bed after
Yeah.
practice, and crazy kids. But anyways, Ned, why don't you introduce yourself to our guests here as Max joins in?
Yeah, sure thing. So what's up, everybody? Ned, here comes Max.
Oh, Max making it a
JD or
mess.
what's up, dude?
I'm good. We have our guest Ned on the show.
What's up, Ned? Ned, are you a fan of the Columbus MAGA jackets?
Here we go.
There it is.
Max
Columbus Jackets got me there for
No,
a
no,
second.
no, no, MAGA jackets. Hold on.
Max doesn't waste any time. He's a big
Um,
he's a big joker. Don't fall for Max's traps.
I mean, I don't think I'm a joker. I think I'm in favor of human rights, JD.
Uh-huh. Anyways,
the
Ned,
thing
can,
that
can we get some background on you? I've done zero
he
research.
was literally
yeah, you're
just
good.
about to, Max, so
Oh, sweet.
I like the save the crew hashtag save the crew
Thank you. Let's
support in
go.
the background there.
I'm a season ticket holder.
Nice on the title last year.
Great title.
have you seen the new
So yeah, a little bit of
stadium?
background.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but the new stadium for the crew, I drive by
Looks
it every
unreal.
day.
Yeah,
It is truly a
One
work of
one
art.
block from my apartment.
So
really.
yeah, it's gonna be. I'm very excited. It's gonna really bring a lot to downtown Columbus. More than, I mean, there's already a lot going on downtown, but this will further boost the scene. So true
Yeah,
arena
I'm excited to see
district.
how that plays out. You have the Cincinnati rivalry growing too, and they just got that brand new stadium, so there'll be some fun games.
Yeah,
Call Cincinnati Mickey Mouse FC where I'm from.
Max is a big Mickey Mouse fan, so you'll hear that maybe 500 times in the show, Ned. So I apologize.
No, I've actually dropped it lately, JD. We're back to Among Us memes today
Among Us memes.
because they're ironic now. They're kind of funny now. Like they're so out there.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll eventually. I'm not hip with the kids, so I'll have to get there. Anyway, so
Hey,
Ned.
JD, let Ned talk. He's our guest.
Okay.
Live.
We'll be here
JD,
for
are we
10
live?
hours. Yeah, we've been live for 5 minutes
really?
now, Max. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know we were live.
You said you were
Ned,
gonna be
hit it.
5 minutes late. You're 5 minutes on the dot. So
No, I told you.
okay, Ned, let it
Um,
rip.
Cool. Yeah, so originally from northern New Jersey, where I started the first high school handball club up there right after the 2012 Olympics. Just got handball fever coming out of that, and like many of us, where we're all in our mid to early 20s, like there's always one moment that really just like turns you onto the sport. And so the 2012 Olympics was my go-to. Went to college at Wake Forest and played intramurals there for 4 years, but we don't have a great club set up there like Chapel Hill, which has been had a great system there for a few years. The main thing that's really kind of brought me back into the handball community was like I got really into following pretty much in the last year, went through the world championships, and I wanted to get involved in the handball community just through social media, but just hadn't had the time to create my own account. And so that's when I started Handball Haven, which pretty much just wanted to create that to have a source of creating graphics, which I do a good bit on the side, and just trying to do anything I can to help expand handball or grow handball, which is kind of the hashtag that I'm using on that account as well. So really don't have, I mean, I'm only a week into the account, but I'm excited to just join everybody. I know you guys have a pretty tight knit community, and everyone's been super open and accepting so far. And I'm just excited to get things rolling here in the coming months. And we have a big Olympic catalyst moment again coming up, which should be a big turning point.
And so you've been out here a week, and you're already on the #1 handball podcast in the world.
I thought too it was a pretty quick ascension, but I'm glad to have it validated.
I mean, your graphics are good. I like the Haven hot seat. I don't know any of those people. I don't actually follow handball outside of America. JD's like the international guy. The American handball question, I got you. But
Max is strictly Columbus.
The Euro mumbo jumbo, I don't trust them.
We all have our niche.
Max went to Denmark with us, and he can tell you how upset I was when we were meeting with the former Danish national team assistant coach, and I had to explain to most of the
What's
team.
his name, JD? Say his name.
No, it's not Gudmundsson. That's Iceland, but it's Peter Bredsdorf Larson's who we met, and I had to explain to everybody on the trip, like, hey, do not ask a stupid question, because they're like, I asked them, I was like, you please tell me you guys are aware of who Mikkel Hansen is, and they're like, no idea. No idea.
Does he play for West Point, JD?
No, he does not play for West Point. Anyway, so that's why I told them to just be quiet for the most part. But they asked some good questions. Dale did, of course.
He's
but
like Ned knows who Dale is.
I'm just for our CJ's listening, so we have one fan. So
I'm trying to look out for Ned here.
Yeah.
Good friend of the podcast already.
So Ned, like Max said, you've kind of burst onto the scene. You already got pretty good interactions with a lot of the major handball players on Twitter. I mean, as you've probably seen in your week, there's probably, I don't know, I'd say there's probably like 20 or so like major handball accounts that are pretty active and kind of have like an interconnectedness throughout the world. I think everything flows through Rasmus Boyson's the godfather of handball social media. So you get on his level, and then we're in business. So
I don't know if any of us are ever getting on Rasmus's level. The guy also had like a pretty crazy rise during the World Championships. Like he doubled his following just because he's always been kind of the go-to guy with a lot of that. And obviously he has handball transfers too. But yeah, and his content recently too has really stepped up. So like I'm not trying
Yeah.
to compete with him or anything like that. It's more so just I've wanted to create a handball account for a while now, and I just felt like, you know what, we got some momentum here, potential ESPN Plus or Peacock agreements on the horizon. Seems like the sport is on the rise, and anything I can do to help push it in the right direction, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, and I think the coolest part about Rasmus is that he's still a player. Like he's still a professional,
Is he
player.
still? I thought he was done. Where's he
No,
playing at?
no, he's playing. I think he just signed with Rebbe, the team that the Americans played before they got kicked out, before they all tested positive for COVID. So, yeah, it's a nice arena. It's called, I think, the Blue. It's like the Blue Water Box Arena or something like that. It's nice. I liked it.
Wait, so JD, we're gonna cancel you for a second. Sorry.
That's fine.
Now, you know a lot about Euro handball, like probably way more than me. What do you know about American handball?
Not much. So this is where we can help each other out.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like,
say,
this
I
is-
figured you didn't know much. What do you want to know?
So I don't know as much about the club system really.
Yeah.
Like the post out after college club system, the various leagues, and
I'll give you a quick rundown, right?
yeah. give me
Pick a
some
major
background.
city. Most major cities have clubs. Like obviously some don't. Most major cities have a club, various levels, almost all European. So if you're looking at
I think
national city
every MLS team city has a handball team. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
plus a couple others. I think there was like 4 that didn't, but there was 4 others that
Charlotte
did.
might be the only one that doesn't have.
Charlotte has a team. Charlotte does.
Do they?
They just started. Well, they started during COVID, so it's a little. It's
Yeah.
unless
But
that was you.
I wish I could take credit for that.
Okay.
now.
The
So-
thing with these
That's
clubs is
engaged.
they're heavily Euro, right? Like 90% European, bad community outreach. Like don't reach out to American kids or anything.
Yep.
Because they're almost all Euro. That feeds into the one big club championship we have every year, the Open Cup. There's a division. There's 3 divisions usually. There's Premier, or there's elite, something open, right?
It's elite, Open 1, and Open 2.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
then,
JD.
yep.
Back to me. Elite's the top 8 or top 10, depends on the year. But to win elite, you're the national champion. So obviously the goal is to qualify for elite. There's a couple ways to do that. It's different. They were last year going to have like qualifier tournaments.
You have to
and
get
there's
so
also,
many
like,
points basically
Yeah.
at those tournaments to make it.
Gotcha.
There's also a ranking system. Me and JD, I think, are both voters right now.
Yeah, you could probably get on that voting. I
Yeah,
think we could probably vote out
not-
some of the voters and vote you in because you have just as much knowledge as any of them.
Then there's also the Northeast Handball Team League, the Northeast League, and the Midwest League. The Northeast League is the good one. It's like New York, Boston, DC, West Point play.
There's 3
Columbus is in
divisions.
Midwest.
What was that?
Like Columbus and all the Ohio clubs are in the Midwest.
We're not in the Midwest because of issues, but the Midwest is 4 teams. It's Milwaukee, Minnesota,
Chicago.
and some college. It's not good. It's ragtag. Chicago's like by far the best. I played on Milwaukee.
The
too.
problem with Midwest is that you have Concordia, which is like in Fargo. You have Minnesota, which is in Minneapolis. Like even those 2 are like, I don't know, 5-hour drive. And then Minneapolis to
we can't
Milwaukee's
travel
another like 5 hours, and Milwaukee to Chicago's, depending on traffic, is an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. But Columbus to any one of those is minimum 6, so it's not practical. And we try to do an east west.
The Northeast, it's real quick.
Yeah, well, not even the Northeast is still awful. I mean, they
got like Amtrak and stuff.
Okay, all right. So we'll blame the
In
train
the Northeast,
system.
you don't have to drive. For us, we have to drive anywhere. You can get from Boston to DC in 6 hours on the train.
True. But the problem, we thought about doing an East-West for the Midwest League. The issue is if I get, Columbus, Ohio State, Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, and now, Detroit or something like that, all of us don't ever have to go to Chicago. We're all pretty close by, so we should just really do our own thing.
Right.
Well, the problem is, and everybody asks me like, JD, why don't we have a college league? JD, why is there no college league? Well, The problem is that someone has to organize the college league, and someone has to talk to all of the colleges, and sending a text, an email, leaving a voicemail, Facebook message, Instagram DM. They're college kids. I missed it. I didn't care. Not important. Even the kids that I coach, it's still one of those things that JD, I missed it. Oh well, we needed to know this so we could plan accordingly for this tournament. But it basically makes it impossible to organize a league when you need to get everything planned out in advance if you don't even know which teams are going to be participating, and the ones that say they are participating, they have no confidence whether they're going to show up every game. So it's very difficult. We try to do it in Columbus, basically to have the Armada play Ohio State, and that was working pretty okay. Like, we were playing weeknight games once every other week, and then COVID kind of ruined all of that. And now we have a new team.
It's a fake virus, by the way, even though it ruined
I've heard this shtick on previous shows before.
Yes.
I was just counting down the minutes until how long Max took to say that. It looks like it's minute 16.
Oh, jeez Louise.
JD's the one who believes it, not me.
Anyways, CJ says that the Midwest is too huge and we got to get flight sponsorships. So that's a nice, if CJ, you find me a guy at United Airlines or Delta, and we'll take care of this. But
I mean, JD, I almost
I know,
had them,
yeah,
they wouldn't sponsor
Southwest. But yeah, Ned, it's kind of tough. I'd say, basically it's the Wild West. I mean, you started a team at your high school, and I feel like they probably are on the same level as like some of these like kind of rec adult league teams. We have, my thing is just getting a group of friends, buying the same color shirt, slapping some iron-on numbers on the back, and now you have a team. And that's pretty much it. We have a nice farm system through Ohio State that Ohio State's one of the unique schools. I think a lot of Big Ten schools, at least, that, and Columbus being a pretty large and growing city, kids graduate and they stay in Columbus. So I have a lot of kids that graduate and they're still around, so they come play for me with our two clubs here in the Columbus area, the Dublin Drunks and the Columbus Armada. So not to mention, if they go to Cincinnati, I feed them to the Cincinnati team. And the only gap I have right now is we have about 7 or 8 guys in Akron, and none of them want to start a team. So I'm like, guys.
But the result of that, Ned, is that since we have the OSU feeder system, the Columbus team is almost.
Well, that's a rough time for this to cut out. Folks, I apologize as always. Got a little spotty internet here. I do say myself.
JD, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're back. Sorry.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, so Ned, as a result, like OSU has the robust feeder system. Columbus is very American, and we do more outreach we're working on more outreach with high school and stuff like that to build a full, like, the goal would be, right, like a high school to pro pipeline. You get your high schooler football guys playing, or lacrosse guys or whatever. They come to OSU naturally because in Columbus, like 25% of kids do. We get them playing handball for 4 years at OSU. They come to the Armada, and that's our perfect player on like the high development side. Like, if they have a ton of upside, they're going to Europe, hopefully.
So go ahead.
I remember reading in the last year, like the Verizon partnership with USA Team Handball and the sponsorship there, and also the potential pipeline of like finding kids at SEC schools that are like ex-baseball players or ex-football players, converting them early after, for whatever reason, and using that as the pipeline. Like, is that essentially the OSU model, and has that been replicated anywhere else to a large degree?
It's not so much to like the OSU model right now, just because we can't get those athletes. We have we have a couple Armada athletes. Like, 2 of our best ones are former D.
I'd say 3. Oh, geez, he cut out again.
D3. Yeah, 3. No one in the U.S. has successfully gotten those, like,
4.
baseball.
I don't know. We got quite a little mix now. I think about with Albata and Wrecker and Marcus and Devin, Connor.
The goal of getting the SEC guys and getting them playing handball and getting them on national team stuff, it's just too late.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting a kid at 19 or 20 to the national team level in the time they need to be. We need to be getting them in high school, middle school preferably. Get them starting 10, like the same time they're starting football, and organized.
Dang. Zoom. We were doing so well. Ugh.
Programs, and then next can hear me.
Oh, maybe this. Hold on. Let me do this.
Can you hear us, Shady?
Yeah, I'm disconnecting my phone from the Wi-Fi. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Okay. Sorry. We're back. But
JD, I was explaining why the getting ex-athlete model doesn't work.
it's to Ned. It's one of those things that it'll always be a well, what if until someone actually does it, and you look at someone like a Mike King who played professional lacrosse. There's some other guys within the Auburn program that played. I think one of them was a professional baseball player.
I mean,
and they just they.
That's where I was thinking. Yeah.
So Drew's is a unique situation because he went to Air Force, played handball at Air Force, was a big guy. He's a part of a special program called the WCAP program. It's a world class athlete program. It's specific for military personnel who can basically, instead of doing and to meet their quota for active duty, they can be a professional athlete. So he and Alex Zek. Alex Zek's the other one in the WCAP program with handball, but Zek isn't playing anywhere right now. Those two are kind of the unique ones. I mean, even Ty obviously played football at Alabama, but he's playing for the Flensburg second team. It's nice. The problem is a lot of the European teams just aren't interested. They don't understand the caliber of an American athlete, and to me, it's hard. I get very frustrated. Like, they don't even give him a shot, and I'm like, I get it. They don't know handball, but if you want to send a guy to a fourth league club just because he wants to, and if I'm that fourth league club, if I get a guy pretty cheap because he's American and doesn't know handball, and I can teach him pretty quick, like, yeah, I think that's a win. But nobody wants to do that.
Take a guy like Dale. Dale's a fully capable athlete, like fully D1 ready athlete. And like, we should be sending him to Europe. He's the type of guy that could excel in Europe.
He's too small. He's too short.
Outside of if he had, I've talked about this with you before. If he had 4 more inches on him, he's world class handball player.
See, Ned, they just kind of like you. There's a checkbox, and if you don't meet all the checkbox, we lost him again.
Why would they look to America when they have their own pipelines already set in place, and they have like recommendations from coaches? I get it's cheap too, but I'm just thinking from their perspective.
Yeah, the money. I think not even the thing that it's cheap, right? Like, if you can become the American handball team from Europe, like, I mean, there's money to be made if you can successfully gain the American market or expand the American market as a big European team featuring American guys. I really, truly think the market's there.
Yeah. It's good points too on like picking them up and transforming them at 20, and then at 22 they're still pretty raw, and unless they're like, I mean, Drew Donlan's 6'8" or something. Like,
he's 6'7".
A different caliber of athlete, because it's not like 6'8" guys grow on trees that have rockets. So it's a little bit challenging to just convert a 6'3" dude who doesn't have that much experience at 22. And he can work his way up through the system through 3rd or 4th tier leagues, but that's the guy.
And on the American guys, like, how much patience do you have? Like, you want to be 25 playing 3rd division European handball? There's not like that many American guys who don't have national team spots that would do that.
Right. Yep.
So I think
JD could have gone to Europe.
Yeah, I could have. I was told by some of our European guys that I could have played at a lower level. I mean, a decent level. And I was like, all right, hey, if I don't get a professional job, like, why not? And finding stability in a nice engineering job. So that I don't know. I got a pretty good life right now, so I can't.
I mean, you have the wife.
Yeah, I have a wife, some dogs.
Air quotes there.
Nice house. So bad internet, but otherwise it's all good.
Joey from Detroit Handball Club gave it a shot overseas, right?
Joey did, yeah. He spent 6 months in Denmark, and
we played him there.
Yeah, we played against his team while he was there. It was pretty fun. I mean, it's something that I would recommend to anybody that can. It's definitely worth it. I don't care. There's a lot of guys that have done that similar kind of one-off that Joey did. But we need to make that a more normal thing and not as kind of like off the beaten path. So creating a pipeline for players to, go spend a couple months over there, whether a semester abroad. There's study abroad's not an uncommon thing. So now we just got to find guys that are in a study abroad program and tell them, hey, play on your college handball team, and when you're abroad in France or Germany or Sweden, go give handball a shot.
Yeah.
So
That's
even like the look of our guys walking into like the first professional handball game in Denmark. We're in Germany, and Flensburg was
it was Kiel.
insane.
It was Kiel, but good try.
Because
Man, I'm so mad. CJ, I know.
just in America, we get 20 people at a match.
What was I going to say? That's kind of what my brother did in terms of like study abroad and playing a little bit. So he went to Scotland, Edinburgh. He played lacrosse in college, and so he played on the Scottish national team because my mom's from the UK, so he had like the passport and everything.
Sweet.
For a
That's
month
sweet.
or two.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Man,
He was living it up.
that is
We
our
have an
lacrosse
English
shout
team.
out.
One of OSU's best players is English, Rohan Shah.
This
Really?
is all sarcasm, Ned.
I mean, he's a great guy. He's not the best player, but
He
he's
is a
very
bench
devoted-
presence.
very
Truly,
devoted pivot.
Big time locker room guy. Make sure spirits are high.
I mean, similar to me in
Every
college,
team
like
needs that.
Yeah.
very high octane, high energy locker room guy. Always there to pick spirits up. Put in a couple minutes.
Let's keep rolling along here. We kind of touched on it briefly, but Ned, you started a handball team in high school. What was that like, and who did you get for the team, and what happened to the team? I assume after you graduated.
Yeah. So I think let's start with the last part of the question first. I think the club eventually dissolved within probably 2 years of me graduating. But that's
2
how that
years
stuff
is
goes. Like
2 years is good though.
Yeah. Back in probably circa 2012 to 2014. The thing with those is though, like if you don't have a pioneer really pushing those types of things to stay ready, like high school kids have a lot of stuff on their mind. So not surprised that its lifespan probably didn't last as long as it probably should have. But really it was like coming out of the Olympics, I was heading into my senior year. I was like, I'm just like all into this sport. And everyone also is in love with handball when they play in 3rd or 4th grade and they put up like a 6-goal game. And so that's just like, it's almost like it's a childhood love that I had that I just like refound at that point. And so I had a bunch of friends who were also like various athletes, whether it's baseball or basketball or lacrosse. And like, there's something in handball that's for everybody. Like if you are a lacrosse crease attackman, like, you can play the pivot and be like Sagstrup for Denmark and just be like a small pivot that dominates. If you're a basketball player and you can jump out of the gym, there's a spot for you on the wing. Like there's a little bit that you could sell to everybody. And so that's what I kind of went about. And we set it up. We had a couple of scrimmages against other schools. But mainly it was just like, how can we get 20 people in a gym and get some couple teams and run it at 3 p.m. at the end of the day, every single day for the week. So it was a ton of fun. And so like that was pretty much the start of my handball engagement. But then like we were talking about TJD on how can you keep people engaged? Because everyone that sees a handball highlight on SportsCenter Top 10 or on Instagram or TikTok, however they get across it, they want to learn more. It's just a matter of keeping that spark engaged and then turning them into full fans of the game itself.
Yeah, I mean that's what to me, like I just really struggle because I think Max touched on it, is like that gap, bridging the gap, and you and I talked about it, is that you played in high school, you went to college at a school that didn't have a handball team, and now you're looking to get back into the swing of things. And to me, looking at what you set up, with just your friends and just meeting up and playing after school, I mean, I have so many questions. Like, did you guys have to reserve the gym? Did the school just let you use the gym? Was it just open gym? How do you coordinate with the other schools to get games going? I mean, there's a lot there that I think if it's like you said, it's not hard. It's just coordination. And It's hard for a lot of these clubs that are trying to tap into the school systems because a lot of, to Max's point, they haven't gone through the American school system because they're foreign nationals that are now citizens here that maybe they're starting to have their kids, so their kids are going through the school system, so they're learning through that method. But it's American schooling is not like European schooling, so it's a little different.
Right. I think the biggest challenge of it, and you were mentioning it earlier, JB, is like around the logistics are the most boring part, but they need to happen for it all to kind of come together. Like in terms of your guys' league in Ohio and whether or not you can figure out guys showing up to practice or scheduling tournaments, like you need people that just stay committed to that and are willing to take the brunt of a lot of dirty work just to keep it running. So like that's when the pipeline of players like the OSU system into Columbus or Cincinnati or whatever it is, or just someone who's willing to champion and do all that in the background while everyone else gets to show up and play. There's a couple boxes you need to check for it to be really successful, and there are probably a few examples of that throughout the U.S. that I'm not as aware of right now of the teams you were mentioning, Max, but it needs to grow to make sure we have a wider audience to reach.
In high school, who do you guys play? Were there other teams, or y'all just like scrimmage and stuff?
It was like scrimmages pretty much. So like it was pretty informal at the time, and it was me just reaching out to other friends I had at different schools and setting up just like small informal games on the weekends.
Sweet.
I mean, that's exactly what we need, though. Like, we want that to grow it.
And again, this is back in 2012, so it's a long ways ago. But honestly, the most games that we played were just all right. It was a pretty small school, but we had 50 to 60 people in the club, and it's like, all right, we're gonna you send out a message of people at that 3:00 gym's open reserved. Let's get people showing up, and you're always gonna have 25 kids in the gym. And it's gonna be a different mix of people. Sometimes you have like a ton of really great athletes. Sometimes you're the quality of the game's a little bit lower, but at least you're playing.
Right.
And so we had just a really great pipeline for that period, just because you had so much interest and engagement in it. We also had like a legit select ball, which is
nice.
We got that and switched from playing with a
dodgeball,
deflated volleyball to that, or a dodgeball. So that was a big investment, and we got goals too.
Jeez.
How'd you get goals?
Yeah.
Like real goals?
Got the school to sponsor them. Yeah, because we had to get like the club approved.
Yeah.
And that's how you got the gym time. That's our biggest problem. Exactly. Like goals like you can buy and stuff, but gym time's impossible.
But the thing is that we need a kid like Ned at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So me being me, I can't go to a high school and be like, hey, I want to start a handball team here.
Because you look like a pedophile. Like,
right. I drive my white Vinny van. But there's got to be a kid in the school that's like, hey, we want to start a handball team. And I've talked about this before. Like, I've gone to different high schools, and you have to go to the right school district and one that's going to be open to the idea. Yeah. And obviously during COVID right now, we're pretty much dead in the water trying to attempt to do that. But
I mean, we could have gotten that at Marysville. Without COVID, I feel like we could have done that at Marysville.
Yeah, I think we still can. So
I agree.
I'm very close to. Being a lacrosse coach now at St. Charles. There's been some kids, wear some handball stuff here and there, and I follow them on Instagram and stuff, and they'll be like, "JD, what's this handball stuff?" And I'm like, "It's all coming together. They're slowly falling into the trap." So. That's my plan, is to just be a coach there and basically I got some guys on this lacrosse team that I'm like, the one kid, he's a junior, he's 6'6", 240, like he's a tank, and he's left-handed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and he's just got an absolute ripper. Like, I'm like, dude, this, just come with me now, like just leave the stick behind, like let's take you to Europe and be done with it.
We're gonna be having our Armada practices this summer. You can bring the kids.
Oh, absolutely! I fully plan on it, so that's what I'm excited about. But you you said it lasted 2 years after you left. So did the school not manage it then, or did the kids just kind of everybody just kind of like dissipated after you left?
Yeah, a lot of those are just like club, like it's up to the kids and the presidents to really
Right.
keep it running. Like
Yep.
there's all these clubs that pop up that then just like once the leadership goes away and
It's
you go from having meetings all the time or like someone sending out schedule invites to doing it 4 times a week to two times a week to 1 time a month to all right, now it's not really even a club anymore. So um, yeah, and I don't blame anybody for that. Just happens. Like there's not as much interest in if you don't have the people that are really willing to educate people on what else is out there and playing the game and even the rules at that point. Like you're in high school, like no one knows the rules to a handball game. So yeah, it kind of just faded out. But there is there is definitely interest out there. I think the main thing is just you need just to get exposure of the sport and how to play at a higher level than it is, and that comes through various different channels.
two quick questions. So one, what rules did you guys like play by? Because I would suggest for the high school level to play like a street or mini handball version.
What are those rules?
So basically, it's no contact, no dribbling, and just 3 steps, 3 seconds, shoot, pass.
That's what we played with. Yeah,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was too much to explain to a bunch of 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's about
I feel like
dribbling,
rapping would be too much, and they'd
Tech
go
the
too strong and
technicality
stuff
of
like that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you don't
Okay.
have refs, so like stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Second question. All your friends that did play back in the day,
Yeah,
what would it take to bring them back to the handball scene now?
Right city.
yeah, the right city.
Okay.
What's going on with their jobs and how much free time they have. Um, like I mentioned, so I'll be moving back home to the New York area where a lot of them live. So
Okay.
I could be one to loop them back in, but
All
this
right.
might be a spot where I need some of your guidance here, JD,
Yeah.
on clubs. I know you had that on the agenda, but clubs, how to get involved, stuff like that, because this is all a little bit new to me, as I mentioned.
Yeah. I think we're approaching our halftime, and this is a conversation I think that will go on for a little bit. So
Yeah,
I'm down to just I'm gonna end this Zoom and have you guys rejoin so that we can come back and
the
get
little
really into
45
the.
minute Zoom cutoff.
Yep. That's I'm the cheapskate here, so
So am I, man. Cool. Let's do it.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yo, JD, I got another segment to tell you about. You know this NBA Top Shot stuff? Yeah, dude, I made $150 today. Yeah, I sold a Bradley Beal layup for 150. 100. Okay, you say that, but $150 in my bank account.
Seems like easy money. So
I
of course
know.
you guys are flipped. Dang it. All right.
Dude, 150 hit the account is gonna hit the account like a brick. When I get my 1,400 Biden bucks.
Be thankful you qualify for that.
I mean, I don't, but I cheated my way into it. Because if you don't file your 2020 taxes, they base it off 2019, and in 2019 I was in school half the year.
This is how you cheat the system, everybody. Listen in for tips from Max.
If you made over 75 in 2020, do not file your taxes. Get an extension. Actually, you don't even need an extension because you got another month. Do not file your taxes. It'll be based on 2019, and if you made less than 75 in 2019, like me, I was a poor back then. I'm getting my money, and they can't take it retroactively.
All right, we all learned something new here. So Ned, now that we're all back, we were talking about, what club you should consider joining when you move back to the New York area. Will you be in New York City or what part of New York, I guess?
Yep, I'll be either in Manhattan or Brooklyn, but probably Manhattan.
Snap. That's real deal stuff. Us small town folk, we don't deal with them big skyscrapers. So, yeah. All right. So you got a couple options. And personally, kind of what we led into before the break, I like option 3, which is not on the table yet. So I'm gonna lay them out for you. Option number 1 is you could try to play with New York City Team Handball Club.
Don't do that. Don't listen to him.
I'm not sure where your athletic career is and whatnot, but you would probably be forced to play on their third team.
The Long Island Tigers.
Oh, I forgot about LIT. There's
I
4 options. Dang it, you're right, Max. You're right.
Their third team is not fun. They're tryhards. They're all dicks. They're all Euros.
I don't know where they practice. They're practicing outside. Not right now, but once we kind of return to things. Benny is the leader of the pack there. I can get you connected with him if you are interested in that. We are not fans of him or their club on this show. You can go back and watch episode 4 of the show called New Dork City if you're interested in that. There's a lot of beef there. We don't need to get into that. You can go back and watch the episode. Anyways, the second option is NYAC, New York Athletic Club. I would say that that's really not an option because you are not a former national team member, and that's pretty much.
And they're anti-Semitic.
I don't know about this.
The New York Athletic Club excluded Jews and blacks from membership until the 1980s.
Okay, well,
just putting it out there.
It's been 40 years, man.
Ned, I know you're not Jewish, but as someone of the faith.
Do you know that? Do you know that Ned's not Jewish?
His name's Ned Hardwood, and his mother's from Scotland.
It's Harwood. Get it right. It's a silent D.
The second silent D. No, I'm not Jewish.
Jews are not from Scotland. Like, it's not a debate, Jay.
All right. I just, can't assume things these days, Max.
Oh, you gonna cancel me, JD?
I'm not allowed to cancel people. I'm not a cancel culture guy. So,
because you said some words that would get you canceled, buddy.
Anyways, Ned, NYAC, they do not practice. They just show up for tournaments. It's basically like the cool kids club of handball. So, if you're a former national team guy or just like a baller or a boss or whatever, they'll put you on their team. But you are pretty down-to-earth, normal kind of guy. So I don't see you fitting into that mix. Not saying it's not an option, but I'm just being real with you.
I don't have national team experience.
They also just suck. They also suck.
They do not suck. They're, I think.
I didn't mean at handball. I meant personal.
Okay, yeah. Moving along to option 3 is what Max said, the Long Island Tigers. I think that might be like and actually the best option.
It's not a bad option.
I
They're
didn't
fun
think
guys.
about that before I said option 3. So option 4 is we'll get to option 4, but option 3, I'll introduce you to Divine. He's a character.
They have the best picture ever taken from us playing Long Island Tigers.
That wasn't that was dude, that was Nyack. That wasn't LIT.
No, that was Nyack 2 playing as Long Island Tigers. So it's the same team.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so they're more down to earth kind of guys. AD Briggs, he plays on that team. AD's really good athlete. Divine, I think, coaches them now. Divine was a former national team guy. AD also a former national team guy. They got quite a few like good mix of guys. I think you'd fit in a lot better with them. That's just my personal opinion.
Nice.
Option 4, the one that I like the most, is
option 3.
You get all your old buddies together and make your own squad. That's my personal stance. So,
but in New York, it's way tougher because gym space is insane.
You guys could practice in like a basement or in the subways, maybe.
You think they have basements in New York, JD?
I don't
You have to
know.
go to, like Hoboken.
That's
Get a
New
warehouse in
Jersey,
Hoboken.
right? That's where people
Yeah,
go
you
to
cross the
die.
river. You cross the river.
Okay, well, I don't know. That's just my stance. It's cold a lot of the months in New York, but I think you got a good enough network. You could probably bring your own team onto the squad. You got the legit, design skills to come out with a fresh logo. Like, you come out looking hot right out the gate, and people are like, oh snap, new team in New York, who's this? And then Benny will want to fight you, and you will have to play him, and he will murder your team. But it'll still be good. So,
and Ned, also corollary to that, first weekend of August, the best handball weekend of the year. New
absolutely.
Jersey,
Wait, when do you move to New York? You can come play with us if you don't have your own team.
Yeah.
That's a tournament you should bring your friends to. Absolutely.
We have this Sports Fest, which is a drunken handball weekend. All you do is drink and play handball. The most fun you'll ever have. I've been 3 times, and it's the 3 best weekends of my life.
That's awesome. That sounds incredible. Where is it? It's in Ohio?
It is in Flanders, New Jersey.
I know Flanders quite well.
You know Flanders?
How the hell do you know
How
Flanders?
do you know
I'm
Flanders?
from New Jersey, so everyone's like, you hear of tiny towns here.
Oh my gosh, Flanders is the handball mecca. It's
It's
truly
literally the handball mecca of the world.
I mean, there's the oldest running handball tournament in the North and South American continents.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of Olympians that go every year. Like, they have
Just
an
hang
Olympian
out.
meetup.
They'll even still play. I mean, they'll be in their
Yeah.
60s, and you can go out and lay them out.
Their
What's
goalie's real good.
Yeah.
What's the quality there? Like, is it all over the map, or is it?
I think it's like most years there's like one team that's like pretty good. They'll obviously win, but then everybody else is like.
We placed third 2 years ago, the last time we went.
And we only lost one game.
Yeah, we only lost one to New York City. We tied Nyack. It's competitive enough that like good players can play well.
We're just regular
but also,
guys.
People can. We brought 3 guys that have never played before, and they played good with us.
Yeah.
Well, that
And
sounds.
it's grass too.
100%. They will be all for it. I mean, we literally run the table at foosball, and that pays for all our drinks for the weekend. So, I do not lose in foosball.
Wow,
Just saying.
that sounds.
No spins, house rules. But yeah, if you're free first weekend of August, tell your friends. If
That
not,
sounds-
you can come play with us.
Sweet. Yeah, that sounds like a great time, and really appreciate all the advice too on the club situation. I feel like I'm navigating really murky waters right now. So
You can experience it for yourself. I mean, I have not experienced it firsthand. I'm just saying, you look at the demographic of the team, and then you look at the demographic of the second team, and you look at the demographic of the third team, and you're like, wait a minute, New York's the freaking biggest city in the world, and you're telling me there's not 10 Americans in this entire club of like 50 people? So
And there's not a single person who's not an asshole.
yeah, and so
Like-
it's just a bunch of people who are, kind of like, what's like they're just not going to be welcoming, is what you're saying.
they'll give you a shot, and then they'll just say like, hey, you can play left wing. Are you
Yeah,
right-handed?
never touch the ball.
You'll play right wing.
Unfortunately.
They'll put you
Yeah.
at right wing. You'll
Yeah.
be the backup right wing on the third team.
It's getting put in right field.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah.
never gonna see the ball.
Yeah, you're on the team though, Ned. Remember that you're welcomed under the team, but that's where we're gonna put you. So
If you pay dues still.
yeah. I don't know. I keep bad mouthing it, but that's
I mean,
I don't know.
they're literally our mortal enemies.
Just we talk about handball expansion, Ned. Tell me how you have a city filled with tens of like thousands of hundreds of thousands of millions of people, and you can't freaking find 10 guys to go throw a ball around. Like, I get it that gym space is expensive, but geez Louise, like, you already have the gym. Like, freaking invite somebody else to come in. No, they want to be the world's team to bring all these other people from all over the world to come play for them. Whatever. You do you win all the championships you want, but you're not doing a darn thing to grow the sport in this biggest city and what they say the best. I don't know. I'm not saying it is or is not, but it is a very nice city of New York. So
yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'll figure it all out. I knew there was some venom behind JD's initial thoughts on it because I think his response to me when I told him about
I probably just said okay.
unless he handball club, he's like, that'll be interesting or something.
Yeah,
we had like a great conversation. And I was like, oh yeah, like I reached out and he's like, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, you can go give it a shot. Maybe we're wrong. Hey, if we're wrong, cool. More power to you. But it's one of those things that for me, having started a team like I did here and being very involved with the European community that we did have involvement with, it was extremely difficult. And you lost a lot of good players because they didn't want to deal with the Eastern European vibes and Northern Africa vibes and Middle Eastern vibes. And that's who you're going to get. You're not going to get the Scandinavian guys. You're not going to get the German guys. It's like you're going to get a lot of the guys that really love handball.
That's what we get with the Armada. When we get international guys with the Armada, it's almost always that.
Yeah, and you know what? They come and see that we're all American, and they don't come back. And honestly, we don't really. I don't feel like I lost that much. I'm sure they might be an okay player, but I'd rather have my guys out here getting people that didn't know what handball was before to continue playing handball than have some guy that loves handball to come and ruin it for everybody else.
What happens every time is we get a Euro guy, new guy showing up, and he thinks we're going to take practices as seriously as they did at his pro club. That is like 5th division club in Germany, and not Germany ever, but like 5th division club
Algeria.
in yeah, and we're there, like we're there, like we have some fun, we grab some beers after, like it's a Wednesday night and I had work all day. I'm not going to like
go and light somebody up and run sprints.
I'm not hitting. And then they get all mad that we're not trying hard enough and they bitch you out. And then they don't come back because like the club has my side. Yeah. I own the fucking club.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's my thing. It's like I would be, trying to really sell this to the average American man and average American woman. I mean, the woman conversation's a whole nother song and dance of trying to grow women's teams. I mean, I look at like my wife, for instance, like she'll come play softball or soccer with us, but if I tell her she has to go tackle this other lady, she's a little, it's a little tough. So you got to find the right ladies who want to play. So, but yeah, that's that. So that's a lot. I mean, like I think Mac's point, LIT, that's a strong. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to get to Long Island from Manhattan. It's a nice little subway.
The LIRR.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a path.
Oh, okay. A little insider talk there. Okay.
But Ned, where in Jersey are you from, like specifically?
Summit.
Okay, my grandparents live in North Brunswick.
Cool. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the central Middlesex area.
Yeah. That's right by Rutgers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's like 25 minutes away from where I grew up.
Yoni, friend of the podcast.
Yoni picks.
JD loves this guy, Yoni.
I don't know Yoni, but he's got a Yoni Picks Twitter account that's pretty funny. So people just take random pictures of Yoni in public that he doesn't know they are.
You mean me?
Yeah, but I don't know. I like it. It's funny. Well, dang. So we've covered quite a bit. But you got any questions for us, Ned?
I think a lot of my questions were related around like the club situation in the U.S. just because I'm not as familiar with that. But like in terms of like what have you seen work and what have you seen not work in terms of growing handball? Since you guys are just a lot more in tune with it over the last couple of years, like what do you guys see as the step? Like if we're saying by 2028 in the LA Olympics, USA's competing and legit, and there's a little bit more of a following, and it's not just like a pipe dream that we get some games on ESPN Plus. Like it's a legitimate system. Like how do you think we get there?
Max, you want to go first? You want me to go?
I'll take it first. I mean, the first is money. We need to get lucky. We need a unicorn like Verizon, but with actual money. We need to. Cause it's such a tough question because, like, for 2028, it's so immediately close that I think we're already screwed, and I think there's some prevailing sentiment from people that we already are. You just gotta get eyeballs on it. Like we see every time there's a big handball thing, it goes great on Twitter. Like you got the Pardon My Take, the Barstool guys.
Yeah.
You need USATH to form a partnership with Barstool. Whatever your feelings on Barstool is, like they get people's eyes on it.
Yep.
You grow it that way. You get organic people. You get grassroots people involved in cities, and you start this like sort of like what we've seen the other niche sports do. Like rugby from 10 years ago went from almost nothing to now massive at every college. You got to just get the grassroots building at colleges. Invest in high school, college. People like you, like if USATH should come to you with a grant for like $2,500, your club might still be there today. Like who knows?
Yeah.
But most importantly, like ESPN Plus, I was very adamant when we got the ESPN Plus deal, it wouldn't do anything. And John Ryan called me an idiot on Twitter. I don't know if he's listening right now. He called me an idiot.
He'll be listening later.
And guess what? Absolutely no one watched it. We have the data. No one watched it because no one's going to the very end of ESPN Plus. Like if I'm on ESPN Plus, I'm watching the fucking basketball game. No one's scrolling through 6 pages to find a handball game they didn't know happened. If the USA had played, if JD hadn't infected everyone, it might have been a little different. Like we might have gotten some press, but I don't think the national team and advertising the national team is the way to go. You need grassroots organizing. You need eyeballs on it. You need clubs with big games. Detroit's doing it right. Like build it up in Detroit. Now they have 3 clubs coming off of that. They have people that'll be at their games. You got to do it like that, and you just can't not focus people. I don't know how the documentary will go. I'm not that confident just because of the nature of documentaries, but who knows?
At least
like,
eyeballs and more better than not having a documentary.
No, I agree. I'm not against it. I'm just not donating it to feel fun.
Ned, did you watch our documentary, the Ohio State team handball documentary?
I have not. Send it my way.
All right.
I have never even watched it.
You'll get a kick out of it, Max. It's
I'll do it tomorrow at work. Yeah. Oh, yo, you got a new subscriber.
Yeah, shout out Man Bread Hunk. What Man Bread Hunk?
My coworker
Andy/Lloyd, Man Bread Hunk. You're the man.
That is Lloyd.
So a couple things on what you guys just talked about. So previous guests we've had on the pod have churned a lot of similar discussion about, what's the perfect fix? What needs to be done? There's so many different, pieces to this puzzle. It's very tough to decide where to begin. You look at what resources we have, obviously very limited. But I look at what can be done with little effort. I shouldn't say little, but minimal effort by a select few people. I think the college aspect's one that we need to tap into because we have money from IHF to spend. So you look at what could be done there with the ambassadors. It's not exactly how we drew it up, but I think if they were to go to the Welcome Week events, basically like 1 or 2 of them, just hit up an entire conference. You do the entire Big Ten conference. That's pretty large space, but if you did the MAC, you could do the MAC in a week. You could do all of the MAC or like some of the Northeast, smaller conferences and stuff like that. You could knock them out. Get some of these like SUNY schools and
Shiite schools.
I talking State University of New York. But some of those that are a lot closer together, you could knock them out. But the key is numbers. So that's what I look at. Like personally, it's my bias towards Ohio, but the MAC schools, they're all 10,000+, and kids are usually, athletes in high school looking to, to screw around with some other sport. So it's an easy one. And the problem with the D3 and smaller schools, a lot of those kids are already on varsity teams. So that's where it gets a little tough. We talked with one of our guys who coached with Team Canada Gymnastics. Shout out Chris Licamelli. And he said the one thing that gymnastics did at the college level was they went after frats and sororities hard to the point where they were just like, they'd have a gymnastics meet, nobody would come, but they'd go to the frats and say, hey, it's Hawaiian t-shirt night. They wouldn't give them anything. They'd just say, hey, it's Hawaiian t-shirt night at the frat or at the gymnastics meet. So all these frat guys and gals show up in their Hawaiian shirts, just partying, ready to have a good time at the gymnastics meet.
And that's the same thing as the Barstool pitch from me. Same
right.
exact thing.
I mean, you look at what I mean. I'm not one to. I don't like to brag, but anytime I have a big tweet, I send it to Max. And there was one tweet that I did get retweeted by Captain Cons, who's like part of Zero Blog 30, and I think it was like 500,000 or 600,000 interactions. And it's like, I'm just a regular guy, but if one guy retweets me and he's like a third tier guy at Barstool and he retweets it and it's that kind of interaction, that's where having Party My Take guys, they brought up handball this week. I mean, handball is still very much in their minds, whether it's a joke or whatnot, but there's a lot of stuff that could be done there, but getting it on TV to help legitimize the sport, because people still think it's a sport that their gym teacher invented. I don't think that the national team would help our case, because people would be like, why am I not on the national team? These guys, they wouldn't understand the situation. But I think playing and broadcasting the Champions League games as a start to get people aware of how professionalized handball is, and they can see that there's fans and all this stuff.
If we can get them on the right places.
Right.
ESPN Plus, for instance, is not the right place.
Right. And, neither is BN Sports. So it's up in the air. So DAZN owns the media rights for the Champions League. So we'll see what we can do about that.
When did that start? Because didn't BN had the Final Four in December, right? But that might have been a carryover.
That was a carryover from before. So the DAZN signed a 10-year deal early last year, and it took effect basically after it took effect like starting in the year, but then BN did the Final Four, I think, or something like that. So, people only tune in for handball when they see it on the Olympics, and even that group is still a small group. So getting it out to the public to see, hey, we have handball. But that's the thing, is that every 4 years you get this mad rush of people wanting to play handball because they saw it in the Olympics. But then there's no infrastructure. There's nowhere for them to play. There's nothing for them to do with it. They just keep watching it on the Olympics. And then he's like, oh, man, wow, that was great 4 years. And then I'll just have to wait another 4 years till I see it again. And
it's like, I watched 2016. It's not like if I didn't see JD at the college orientation fair, I wouldn't have played ever, because I thought it was amazing in 2016. But like, what am I doing out there?
That's why it almost seems like coming out of this summer, Peacock is a really good landing spot, because one, they'll still have the Premier League rights. They have rugby too, I think. So they've invested a little bit in smaller, more niche sports. But then they can also leverage the Olympics and the Olympic Channel and all that right into various other coverages. The DAZN thing, I didn't realize. I watch everything through EHF TV. So they haven't even been showing that then, or they just don't geo-block anymore?
I don't know, because there's nothing. DAZN, I don't know what their relationship was with the U.S. market. I mean, I don't know if there's not. They have to sell the rights to. My understanding from like what happened with the World Championships, that Sport 5 owned the media rights, and they sold them. They did a deal with ESPN. So DAZN is now the Sport 5, basically finding somebody in the U.S. that they can broadcast with. So what I'd like to figure out how to do is connect DAZN, ESPN together. To Max's point, sure, ESPN Plus is not the ideal spot, but if they put together any kind of like advertisement or an email or any Instagram post, anything. I mean, you look at the one from last week, it had almost 300,000 likes and 3,000 comments.
I said that too. I said if ESPN's not going to promote it, it's junk.
Right. Yeah. It's no different than being sport at that point, and that's where it's very frustrating.
For them, I don't even know how many posts ESPN does on a daily basis on Twitter and Instagram. It might be 50 to
Instagram,
50 a day.
Instagram, I think's probably close to like 7 or 8 a day. I think I've
Okay.
I've at least, well, you got to think that they have Sports Center, ESPN. They have like
Yeah.
a whole slew, so 10 on each of the major accounts. Yeah,
Yeah.
50 a day is, not too off, I'd say.
And then you just like link like a top 10 player, a highlight straight to like watch more on ESPN Plus. Like it needs to be that type of
Right.
coverage. I think the main areas like social media highlights, the EHF rebranding, what was that, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a lot cleaner. And they do share highlights, and they have the top 5 goals and top 5
Yep.
saves every week. That's been a huge plus, and like they up their game and their package, but it just needs to be a lot more of that, just consistently going forward. And if you had ESPN leveraging some of that content, that'd be a huge plus. I think the other piece is like you almost need something to dumb things down as people get into the sport, and like have an easy like go-to guide. Like I remember when when NBC got the Premier League rights back in 2014 or something, they invested in a whole package of just like there's going to be people that are watching the Premier League that don't understand what the teams are, the dynamics, like that Manchester United is the Dallas Cowboys, and that Man City. Like you need something that people can like quickly latch onto to get a better feel for it, because part of the problem people have is they see all these teams. It's not the same type of cities or teams that dominate in soccer. So even if you have a European sports knowledge, it doesn't necessarily translate. And you need just a go-to guide that people can reference if they want to get involved. Yeah.
That's why you promote the hell out of FCB and PSG, the two that people do know.
Yeah.
You get a random person off the street, they know FC Barcelona. Why don't you watch their handball team?
But to Ned's point, I mean, no, I'm not forcing more work on you, but that sounds like an easy task for Handball Haven to like, and we can start. That's a nice platform for you to build a following off of, is the handball for the common man.
Like I just think that part of I didn't get back into following club handball until Montpellier's run back in, what was that, 2018?
2018, yep.
And part of the reason was like if I had an easy access, I like flirted with it, getting back into Champions League or the Bundesliga a few times, but I just like never got fully into it because there's not an easy guide to go to, and it's not like you can really reach out to people and then explain everything to you in a 20-minute span. So you're like, all right, I feel like I got my feet under me on who the best players are, who the best teams are, what team I can get behind. So
yeah. Like who knows HC Varder outside of handball?
Yeah.
Well, nobody.
No one.
But so if I'm a Vardar, and that's the thing, is that it goes back to like, when we went to the Kiel match, like they got us, John Ryan helped coordinate getting us literally front row behind the goal seats. And, my thing is that you just took 13 guys and just made new Kiel fans because they weren't fans of anybody else beforehand. So you now have 13 more Kiel fans that you didn't have before. And it's like, think about, you have an entire 330 million people in America that you could just tap into if you were the Kiel or the Vardar or the Veszprem, and you come in and you're like, we are taking over America and we want them as our fans. And
that was my point when I said sign an American guy. You do that with an American, even on your like second team, out of this world.
Well, what is Lyon doing with Drew? What is Flunsburg doing with Ty?
Nothing.
Right.
They're not playing.
Yeah. But they have those guys on the team.
They should. If I was them, I'd make a Lyon America account, like you see, like the FC Bayern like America account and all that. Do it on social media if you want on TikTok.
So
I got 20K TikTok. I have 20K TikTok followers. I don't use that stupid app.
Yeah.
Max hit it and quit it on TikTok.
I quit on TikTok. Yeah.
The language barrier is a big one too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it is.
I'm trying to think. PSG has an English account. Kiel doesn't. I translate every single tweet. Montpellier doesn't. I don't think Barca actually does.
I don't think they do either. At least I don't follow. I just follow the.
So we're at PSG, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing too, because it's not like that many people who are like casual fans. They watched a couple games, or they heard about it, or they played it that they're going to be like, oh, let me like follow this team and translate every single tweet
No,
that
you
they
got
have.
you got to be committed. You're
Team news.
you're great.
Yeah.
You're instantly in the top 5 American handball people in my
Seriously,
in my,
it's a quick rise, but you're a strong foothold now. But
So it just needs like things like that, like a dumbed down version or some sort of explanation system or a guide that people can go to. You need like a Peacock or an ESPN contract, preferably Peacock, so you can ride the wave from the summer, and DAZN can figure out Champions League rights. And then like I actually like that interface. It's much easier to find things, particularly if you're looking for sports and get around, rather than ESPN Plus, where you'd have to go to page 40 because they're showing the Sun Belt volleyball games. Like it's not attainable, like you said, Max. Like I had to go, the amount of clicks I had to go on my Roku to find like the World Championship matches. They didn't get a single person stranding by and clicking on it accidentally.
and you're super devoted. The amount of people like you in the U.S. is probably like 50.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I was saying to John Ryan. Like no one's gonna scroll by it.
Yeah.
so the only aspect here is that we've talked a lot about how to cast the net. So now we've got all these fish in our net, and how do we reel them in to touching, dare I say, getting their hands on some balls? So that's where it's tough, because we got to have like a very prefabricated orchestra of and orchestrating a series of clinics or free events here and there, or get you sent a free ball, or I don't know if you go after at what age group do you go after now, because they can't do the same thing that you did where you go after high school and then you lose them at college. So you go after college, you miss them at high school, and then they even continue. And that's the thing, is that there's right now about 15 give or take a couple here and there depending on where COVID's at, college teams. Every year you're probably graduating somewhere between 2 to 10 people. Well, you would think that 2 to 10 times 15, that's anywhere from 30 to 150 people that should be continuing to play handball are not. And why is that? Is that on USC Handball to keep them engaged, or is that there should be some kind of college coordinator that's touching base with them to keep them, find them on a team and place them on a team? We hosted the handball draft last year. I think we had 30 athletes that we placed on clubs. Don't know if they ever got picked up and signed to a roster, but I know a lot of them did. So obviously COVID, there hasn't been any games, so we might redo that draft maybe over the summer. But creating an infrastructure so that people can actually play is the hardest thing I think that needs to be done, because that involves real work within our realm. Whether that's getting involved with YMCA's, getting involved with different youth rec leagues. I look at like an I-9. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's really,
I played I-9 football.
It's really popular in Columbus. I've never seen it till now, but they have baseball, basketball, volleyball, kickball, soccer, lacrosse, hockey. I mean, they have all these different sports. So if you could just integrate handball into one of them, walk away, you got a bunch of kids playing now, and the infrastructure is set up.
Have we ever talked to Steve at I-9?
Steve?
Yeah.
I don't know a Steve at I-9. I'm writing it down.
He was their Columbus programs director when I was playing football there.
Why would he still know you? I mean, this is random.
No, he wouldn't still know me. This is 12 years ago.
Do you think Steve still works at I-9?
I'd assume so. He's a nice guy. I think he was the owner or something.
There's no way. All right. Note to self.
All of the I-9 emails would be from Steve.
Note to self. Go talk to Steve from I-9.
You can find his email for JD.
All right.
Oh, yo, JD, sorry, when are we having practice? Do we have a time
tomorrow? Yet? Oh, Armada practice starts
I can't go to OSU because the OSU fucker lady.
April 12th is when Armada returns to practice.
Wait, where are we practicing at?
Thompson.
Okay, sweet.
So, we got 5 minutes left here. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things that need to be done. And I think, Ned, you touched on a lot of excellent points. And I think combining those with an action plan on how to get those new viewers involved, and whether that's a parent getting their kid or a young adult getting involved directly, those need to be in place. I mean, it's very frustrating when I get an email from a kid in Nebraska or, Wyoming or Iowa or Kansas City, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm really passionate, really love to get involved with handball." And I'm like, "Dude, you're 5 hours from the nearest like mediocre team. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, I could send you a ball, I could send you, something, and maybe you could make something happen. But it's tough. I mean, me sending a ball to Billy Football, he makes one TikTok video with it. I'd say that's a
Never
win
seen
for
him.
me. Me sending a ball to some random kid in Kansas City, I don't know if he'll ever do anything with it, and
Yeah, that's not my
it's
then.
just kind of a rough situation. So, but yeah, so Ned, this has been fantastic. Do you got any other questions or points you want to bring up before we run out of time?
I think nothing on my end, but it was great meeting you guys. It was a fun discussion, and looking forward to following the show in the coming weeks. I feel like there's a lot of good building blocks in place for handball. We got to add a couple more and then build off it. So hopefully, an exciting few months ahead.
Great,
Absolutely.
Ned. Great meeting you, man. Seriously, great having you on. One of the better guests we've
Yeah,
had.
Ned's very professional, so that's
Yeah,
where
way
it
more professional than me.
counterbalances Max's lack thereof.
That's what the
Ned,
viewers like, though.
would you be
Yeah, a little bit
interested in
biased.
joining? We're slowly kind of putting together a handball stats community to build up
Yeah.
some stats infrastructure. So we have one of our former guests from the show, Neil Johnson. You can go back and watch the episode with him. It's
I
probably.
watched it last night. Yeah,
Oh, okay, man, doing homework. Look at this guy.
yeah.
Uh,
Neil seems like the man.
yeah, you should follow him. Just send him a message on Twitter. Real cool guy. But he and I talk probably on a every other day basis on some different ideas, and I'm just slowly collecting an army of data analytics, data analysts. Jeez
Analyst.
Louise,
Yeah.
It is late. Um, to help kind of build up a handball following, and to me, I think you know, the sports fan that I am growing up, I'd go on ESPN and I'd look at their stats, and you could pull up what their game was for this day. You could pull up the whole season. You could sort by whatever you wanted to. You could look at rankings of teams. That's something that handball doesn't have in America for absolutely with the national team, and it's even something at the European level that it's, to your point, not extremely easy to find, and sometimes it's just not there. I mean, you can find stat sheets,
Gotten better,
um,
but
but it's tough. So yeah, so maybe I can add you to that list if you're interested. So
yeah, definitely feel free to reach out.
okay, cool. All right, well, this has been great, Neil or Ned. God,
Oh,
oh, jeez, Louise, I gotta get
It is
off the
getting late,
mic.
man.
The mic is hot. Ned, thank you for staying up late and being part of the show. This was fantastic, great discussion, and it's great to have you as a former handball player back in the handball community after a brief hiatus. So we look forward to your prolific career with whichever New York team you decide to compete with. Um, we'll see. It'll be an interesting journey, so I look forward to
I'll
that.
keep you guys updated. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, guys. Really appreciate
you're the
it.
man, Ned.
Excellent.
We'll see. Keep my social media channels limited for now. We'll expand later on. See you guys.
There's
This is my story, my name is JD, trying to look for a chick to call me baby. I'ma treat her well, cause that's where it's at. Don't matter to me, I'm a friggin' doormat. Most chicks don't get me, they all run away. Even tried husky chicks and they won't stay. I know it ain't me, I'm a mother MC, hitting golf balls off the big boy tees. But I ain't ever shot a man, cause that is whack. A one strength and freeze called a Mac attack, huh? Just another day in the life of me. My name is JD.